Yes.
Yep.
Welcome everyone to the December 5th Vernon Selectboard meeting. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. Do we have any public participation? Hearing none, we will move on to the minutes of November 21st.
I got a couple of things.
As do I.
First page, under others present, it says representatives from the Big Guy Property Maintenance Company. That should be the JJ and Ed Sleeper should be JJ Wielden and Ed Sleeper, and it's up in that. They're the proprietors of that.
Of the Big Guy property?
Right.
Okay.
And
You can also get rid of the Peggy without a last name above that.
Oh, yeah, got that.
oh, yeah, I didn't even see that. And then on page 4, 1, 2, 3, under right the paragraph right after executive session, it says, and the town have been very happy with the services that have been provided by the House. That's House Landscaping. I'd prefer that be put in there because it isn't the House.
Right. Okay.
And also, down, there's a motion that says Chris Howe made a motion to hire Matthew Coombs. We didn't do anything that night with Matthew Coombs, and when we did that, I believe that came from the motion came from Patty originally. Am I correct?
What is that? Oh, it's the laptop.
Oh, yeah, it's
So wait a minute, just to be clear, is that we didn't hire Matthew Coombs?
No, we
Wasn't that-
did. We
that was
did,
on the
but it
previous
was,
meeting.
It was a cut and paste? Okay, I get it now. Okay.
it was like,
It was later on.
yeah, no, earlier, 2 meetings ago, or a meeting ago, something.
Oh,
It didn't get deleted.
Yeah, and then on page 5, it says that Howe feels that the town office should be open 5 days a week, same with the highway department. What I said was the elected officials set their own hours. However, I said, I feel that they should be open, but we cannot force them to do so. And then that last motion, I think Patty seconded that motion, but I can't be clear on that one. And that's all I have.
I think she's right, that you did second it, but we have to look at the
I'd have to
tape.
look at that again.
But the answer to the motion was, and for consideration of having one night have extended hours, was part of that ended up being a, you listened to the discussion, it was a friendly amendment. Yeah.
Being extended hours, okay.
And Velco is an acronym, so it's all caps.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Howe?
I move that we accept the minutes of November 21st as corrected.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of November 21st as corrected. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
We're going to pass on the chairman's remarks and move straight into the bills and the warrants. Although I would like to say that, just to remind everyone that the Vernon historians will be presenting their DVD tomorrow. I don't have any specific logistics, but they have posters all over town. It's a DVD that they've been working about that goes into some detail regarding the history of the town of Vernon. Congratulations to them on completing that, and I look forward to seeing it.
I'm not having chairman.
I thought you might want to look at that mic if
just did it this way.
Oh, this is for everybody. Okay.
We had to issue a check with Vernon for the health insurance for January.
Why is it any different than it usually is?
Because we switched, we're off of Cigna as of December 31st and then on to the new insurance that we voted for January on. Their calendar year, January to December.
Okay, so, but we had to cut the check just because of the way the dates fall. That was my
Yes, it
questioning.
required, yeah.
Okay, but normally this will go through the same process that
Yes.
that always goes through. Sorry.
This one has 3.
So did we not go over the regular retainer on this week?
Not yet. I don't know. We do it automatically on the first meeting of every month. So we still need it though.
Did I see Mike Coughlin?
Yeah, he's right behind the pole.
Oh. Did you give him that note then? Huh?
You were looking that way, he was looking this way.
I gave Sally a note to give to you. This is about some paper tomorrow morning. Newspaper paper.
Thank you, Sally. I would have held it if I knew he was coming.
I figured I'd go to him now.
Thank you. term up?
Apparently, there's a couple.
So, this town computer, is this for all new ones?
I didn't get that.
It's weird, so they have everybody now.
It's got the server.
Yeah, and then there were two PDFs.
Right, and page 2 has only got a price for one computer. So we'd have to multiply that by X amount of
Yeah.
workstations. And for this kind of money, we'd have to put it out to bid anyway, right?
It's also have to be part of the capital plan. Broke 10.
I know, but
Okay.
that's,
But it would.
That's
we would be
not
able to
for
get
one
them.
item.
We're already a year late in getting them,
Then it would have to be the morning.
so I don't know how you want to do that, if you want to do it in the technology line or, but it would be, yeah, I think it's something that should be in the capital plan personally.
Well, whenever something like that happens and we don't have enough time, in the past, we've made it a warning item so that it basically doesn't go into the budget, because then you'd be bouncing the budget all over the place.
Right, I think in the past, Mike, we discussed having it in the capital plan, and because each item wasn't $10,000, it was deemed not to be in the capital plan.
Right. But this time, we're talking about the whole building plus a whole new server infrastructure that wasn't talked about in the
The
past.
server wasn't talked about, but we all got our computers at the same time the last time also.
Okay.
I would agree that on an individual PC basis, it didn't make sense to do it as either a warning or when you turn around and you talk about a system, then
Yeah, and Bill he was pretty adamant about a server. He really feels that we should not be relying on a PC at this point.
Based on the issues you had this summer,
Yeah,
that's...
plus the, the response, the financials and different aspects that we felt it would be safer to have servers.
plus a nice big UPS on it, not a little UPS, a nice big UPS on it.
Not to muddy the waters any, but has there been any consideration to partitioning the library server to accommodate both entities?
We haven't. I don't know, I'm not a technological person, so I don't know if that's something we should look into or not.
Because both of your needs are fairly minimal for this kind of server.
Mhm.
I mean, this is a very nice server to run 10 workstations. It's a little overkill.
I just asked him to quote for us,
Mhm.
because we were ready to budget.
With that whole security where the other server is located, whether or not it's a secure enough area.
For the...
It's not
For
under
the
the
data.
town control, it's under the library control.
Oh,
It's pure security, physical security.
we can move it.
Yeah.
Under the town side.
Good.
But, a topic for another day.
so we're gonna do it as an article?
I think that we have to look into it more to see whether or not it could be partitioned, and we could use that, because that would significantly bring the cost down. It's another one of those issues similar to if it's green or if it's black. If it's a computer in the town hall, then it's, we make use of and share our resources with both the library and all of the above,
And the only downside I see to that, and I haven't looked at this server, so I don't know, and I don't know what kind of security Bill has on it, but that server is also an internet web server that allows people to go in and look at the catalog online, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which could create an issue with the sensitive documents that you have on there.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Miller.
I move that we approve and pay warrants 12 SG, accounts payable, $152,474.85. 47S payroll, $10,936.92. 48S payroll, $10,118.23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept and pay warrants 12 SG, accounts payable in the amount of $152,474.85. 47S payroll in the amount of $10,936.92. And 48S payroll in the amount of $10,118.23. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. All right, moving on to the use of vacation time and overtime, which is probably what all you guys are here for. Oh, okay. Last week, or last time we met, in looking over the bills and warrants, it was noticed that there was a lot of overtime incurred along the same time where vacation time was incurred in the same week. And I brought that to the rest of the board's attention, and I've never worked in an organization where that was allowed. Thus, I brought it to Sally's attention, who in turn said, way back when, I think it was around 1994, discussions were had with the select board, which sort of allowed that to happen. Now, these are very vague, doesn't specifically say that, but to make a long story short, this has been going on now since 1994.
I think, and I'm not sure, and maybe David can correct me. I think what happened is that, and I was talking to Sally about it too, I think what happened was, and I'm not really sure, but in 1993, I believe, there was a snowstorm that happened for days, you know, and the highway crew worked for days with no rest and no break in between. And I know I pronounced the word days, sorry about that. They needed to go home and rest, so the selectmen said, you know, take their vacation time and pay them their overtime. And I think from there is where it started. But I really can't be for sure. But, I mean, that's why they did that. And said from that day on that it would be, the highway would be different because in cases like this happens. So.
That, and so we could get our time in without having to worry about
Right.
storms.
Was it 93? I mean, I was at the 93 snowstorm. That's what I couldn't figure out was if that was
I
the
couldn't
time.
tell you for sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because I remember that snowstorm. I had just moved in with my father, and it was in the spring, and he was really upset that he couldn't get out. And I think that was when it had happened. It just went on for days. So, but
And I also
I don't-
remember, and I believe it was when Shirley was treasurer, but I'm not positive, we did have a meeting in Sandy's office. The board had questioned that, and Sandy did research and was advised to do that for the highway. So what we did at the last time we worked on the personnel policy was to include the language, the provisions of these regulations shall prevail except in cases where contrary contractual agreements exist between the employee and the select board. Because we felt as a committee that it would be inflammatory to have in here that the highway would be the only one who would get vacation, holiday, and sick time paid with overtime.
Whom advised Sandy that?
I think it was VLCT, but I don't know if she remembers. I remember being in her office, and she was the select board secretary at that time. And so she may remember who, but I remember being in there, and the question was the treasurer's question, and we were to do that for the highway department.
Now, does that happen in Brattleboro,
We're not
to the best of your
Brattleboro.
knowledge? I know you're not Brattleboro, but
The thing is, you guys are taking a kind of a city to a small town.
All we're trying to do is save this small town money.
I understand.
Well, I think it's more than that, though. Is that what we're doing right now is that there is a court case in the fact is that somebody is saying that we are not treating the different department heads and people similarly. So it's one thing to basically have a policy and procedure that basically says is everybody's going to be treated the same way in that how they're going to be paid overtime. If an act of God comes in and basically changes the circumstances such that we need to take action on specific individual bases, that's different. If somebody has to put in an ungodly amount of overtime because of an act of nature, you make a decision to be fair at that time. But across the board, all the rest of the time, everybody's treated the same. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do is make sure with the new personnel policy. And I'm not saying that we're going to be going this way. All I'm saying is that it's important to make sure that how people are treated are the same. Because the police department has times when they get called out and have to do incredible hours. Isn't the fact is that, but the police department isn't considered and treated the same way, so why not? And then the reason is that, just like Mike said, in all the places I've ever worked, you work your regular 40 first, and once you work your regular 40, you get paid overtime.
But not according to our personnel policy.
But that's what I'm saying is that right now is we're going through and rewriting the personnel policy to make sure and have it vetted by the LCT to make sure that it's correct, and so that people, we're not setting ourselves up or the town up to be put into a condition where we could get sued. It is basically acceptable accounting practices or personnel practices, and make sure that that's correct across the board for all of the different personnel in the town.
Well, that leads me to the question, with the guys on a 10-hour day, we weren't following this because in our personnel policy, it does state
8 hours.
that after 8 hours, they will get overtime. The highway department will in the winter. I just want to clarify with you, is that what I'm to be doing now?
We're back to 8 hours.
Right. So I'm to follow.
But at the same time, as once the new personnel manual has been written, we've reviewed it, it's been vetted by the town attorney and VLCT, that's what's going to go into place and be that's what would be voted on. So whatever is in that would be put into play.
David?
Just remember, we don't have enough guys where we can cover in the storm. We're all out there. It's not like you call somebody in from the PD, and you got other workers we can move them around to.
Well, they don't have that many, that in reality, they don't have as many as that they need. But at the same time is, how does the Department of Transportation and the amount of hours that you can be on the road at any period of time, because that is in play now, where we have a limitation.
Municipality.
We're all exempt.
Right.
You're saying is that it's
a snowstorm, it's an emergency, you're exempt.
and it's a good idea to basically be driving to the point of exhaustion where you end up hitting and killing somebody?
It's not a good idea, but it's required of them during a snowstorm to keep the highway safe for the citizens.
I think that that's a subject for another day.
How come we don't have more people? And I'm sorry, that's a broad-based question. I know you've been able to hire people temporarily for emergency storms. I know you guys both were out
Nobody
period.
likes doing this. That's
You
it.
don't have the equipment to pay more people, do you?
No,
You're on call 24/7.
right.
I'm not looking for full-time people. I'm looking for somebody to fill in the storm like Anson does. There's nobody in anywhere that would be willing to do that.
So you're saying come in and take over so they can go home and get some rest?
Yes.
Because if it's bring somebody else in, then you're talking more equipment.
Why?
Because,
Shifts.
that's what I'm saying, but, okay, forget it.
No, I'm saying one of you guys goes home and somebody grabs your equipment and continues plowing while you rest for 4 or 5 hours. That's all I'm suggesting.
Workman's comp and all that.
But how do we get around it with Anson?
Anson didn't drive a big truck.
Anson's driving the little truck and just cleaning up after you.
Yes. And he'd run him over once in a while.
You hire too many, that, I don't know, what's that gonna do with workman's comp and all that? Gonna put it up. Payroll.
But last year, I figured it out before I came. Last year, Fred worked 114 and a half hours overtime from November 1st to April 1st. So you're talking 114 and a half hours. It's not like they're out there 24 hours a day. I think the most he worked was 19 hours.
But is it acceptable for every town employee to work 120 hours of overtime a year? What would that do to the town's budget?
Well, you can't change Mother Nature.
How do other
Well,
towns,
not all the town employees have to work under emergency situations.
No, they don't, but I'm using that as an example.
We're not using Brattleboro because Brattleboro is different than Vernon size-wise and population-wise. But how do towns like Putney, Dummerston, Guilford, how do they handle?
You just go until it's done.
How do they handle the overtime situation?
Oh, the overtime?
I know Dummerston goes 16 hours. But when they go home, that's what they do. They go home, they don't come back out.
and so the roads pile up, pile up, pile up.
And with VY, by 4 o'clock in the morning, Pond Road can be rolled.
I have to say, we have the best roads.
We do.
And
I think
I
people
mean-
in Vernon are very proud of that.
And
Yeah,
we have to
absolutely.
come back and try and get out to go home and get sleep.
But I can give you another person's name that's not driving for Cook anymore that would come in and plow, help you plow too. Big trucks, if you need them.
But that is the quandary we're in here. Nobody is saying you guys are doing a horrible job. Nobody is, we're looking, A, at what Mike indicated, all departments being treated fairly across the board, and B, how do we eliminate between 300 and 600 hours of overtime per year? That's a huge chunk of
You
money.
can't eliminate, because nobody's got here.
We can eliminate it.
It's not like they're looking for the overtime anyway.
I know they're not, and nobody is saying that they
After
are.
40 hours and say, bring somebody else in.
You can come in and drive the truck, I could care less.
I don't want to drive the truck, but why don't you take 3 days off after that?
That's not.
Well, the only hours worth working are overtime hours anyways in today's economy. And that's everywhere, not just this town, but everywhere.
But there's
So
a lot of
somebody
towns that have
gets a couple
eliminated
hours
overtime completely.
5 months out of the year, you know, then they shouldn't be asked to
We're
take
not,
the regular days off.
we're not here to argue with anyone, we're just looking for solutions.
No, go back to your thing, taking 3 days off later.
Mhm.
Well, the holidays roll around, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's in for the holidays, and you're out working. And by the time you take your 3 days off, everybody's gone back to their home. You didn't get to visit with them. Now, is that how you like to work?
I don't follow you.
He's saying like at holidays, you get called out on Christmas. You
Yep.
gotta work Christmas. I don't know how many Thanksgiving we postponed because you had to work
Last year was
Thanksgiving.
the first one I got to.
So you have to postpone, you have to change everything around. You got family coming in, well, it snows, he's gotta go out for Christmas. We'll take 3 or 4 days off following the storm. Well, everybody's gone home. What's the sense of taking time off? Your family's gone.
Yeah, but Christmas is over too, and you've already missed it because you've worked.
Same scenario.
What towns have done away with the overtime? No.
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you said the towns that have.
No, I think,
No.
I think that is that we have to be careful because
I don't think
we
we
don't
should
want to rile people up
Take away
because
their overtime.
all
either.
we know at this point, all I know personally at
Find
this
a way
time is that we have a disparity between how some of the departments are being treated versus how the road crew is being treated. That we have the ability, in the case of if something comes up, we have the ability to make an exception to the rule, just not have an exception to the rule all the time so that you guys are different than everybody else, right? And I think that if you just look at that in and of itself, I think that that's a fair statement. Would you agree with that, that you guys should be treated the same way as the rest of the people that work for the town, as far as, and do you think it's a fair thing to say that if an act of God comes up and you basically are out there for 4 days straight and, or, you know, working it so that you're rotating it through so that people can get, at least grab some sleep, that if you're out there and you turn around and you put all that time in, and then you can't use your vacation because you were counting on the family coming up, taking vacation, and you haven't used your vacation, and if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And you come to us and you say, we're going to lose it. We had this snowstorm, we tried to do the right thing, but we really don't want to get penalized. We would say to you, that's a fair request, and we grant it, okay? But what the important thing to say here is that not talking about overtime, as far as whether we eliminate it or not. That's not what I really want to talk about. I just want to make sure that people are in agreement that to have a personal policy that is consistent and fair in how it treats the employees is a good thing.
It is a good thing, as long as it's consistent and fair.
Right.
And that the rules aren't changed in the middle.
Right, and what we're doing now is that in a lot of cases, there's been recommendations, especially from the town attorney, we've got to clear up some issues within the town in the personnel policy in order to make sure that we eliminate issues like we're currently in litigation for.
And my next question would be like on a holiday, if we work, we gotta take the 8 hours off somewhere else. And it's gotta
Well-
be used within 30 days.
Holidays are different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Holidays
but
are
it affects
completely
with the
different.
overtime.
They shouldn't, because if it's a holiday, you're getting the time and a half to begin with, plus overtime, right?
No.
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 They just have time and a half and a day off.
Holidays, time and a
Oh,
half.
plus the day off,
If
okay.
we work
So
8
so
hours,
We
we
got
gotta
double
take it
time
off.
and a half.
essentially, you're getting the time and a half plus time and a half, because you're getting a double, you're getting a day off.
Happens straight.
Right,
line for
right.
me.
So holidays are different.
Okay,
But
that's what I was
just,
wondering, if we took it off and we got a storm, then it's gonna be, well, that was a holiday, that's not gonna count, she took it off.
definitely
Okay.
not.
No,
That's what I was
that's
just
in the
trying to
personnel
figure out.
policy, and that probably wouldn't change.
Can I ask something? Don't we have, isn't it stated somewhere, or, I don't know if it's a policy or if it's a law or what, but isn't it stated somewhere that vacation time or holiday time, not holiday time perhaps, but sick time, vacation time, personnel time, isn't that like actual worked hours? No.
Earned hours.
Earned hours, I
It
mean.
was in that 1994, but it was personal and holiday, I believe.
Right.
But no, in most, no,
It's
it's
not.
time worked.
It's not
that
time,
is
actual time worked.
Yes,
And then that's what this did, was that changed it.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what started the whole discussion. But no,
That didn't
all we're
have a
talking
problem with
about is any given Wednesday, it snows, and you've got to work your full Wednesday 8 hours, and then you're out until Thursday morning. That's the kind of scenario we're looking at here, not Christmas, not New Year's, not any of those overtimes, because that's a special occasion, which, you know, you're going above and beyond at this point. I mean, not that you don't anyway, but it's a holiday, for goodness sake. So you get your time and a half, you get your day off, and we don't mess with that.
I just do kind of think that I know what you're saying, that all employees should be treated differently, but I mean the same, but the thing is too, the highway department, they are on call 24/7. You give up a lot for this job. I don't think you guys really realize how much you give up. If you got a storm coming, or if you see that there's a hurricane coming, you really have to get ready, because, you know, he takes off, and I'm
I think I
stuck
can
taking.
tell you that I appreciate it.
Yes, so
extremely
don't I.
well.
But I'm just saying,
Well-
you really don't realize how much
We're out there.
your family gives up for this job.
The thing is that our problem is the vacation, taking vacation during the same week that you've worked, 15 hours overtime. Please wait, just for a minute. And what Mike is saying, to put it in layman's terms, is that you're going to work that 15 hours, and if you need a vacation day, then you come to us and we can waive that, but we have to put you on the same wavelength as everybody else. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to get your vacation day. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can still come to us and ask
Because I
us.
think they were scrambling. I think you were down, you had to
Right.
use your time up, and you were going to
Say
lose
that
it.
right.
So that's what the case was.
No.
And I think the hard thing here is no one's trying to do anything to you guys. But court cases cost a lot of
Yeah,
money too, and
I
it's our
understand
number
that.
one job to protect the town.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. We're
Yeah.
not trying to hurt the highway department. We're trying to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for any more litigation.
I understand.
I mean, we feel as bad about all of this conversation as you guys do,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, I was on the select board all those years. Certainly, everyone in this town appreciates the job that's done and knows that it's very
Absolutely.
difficult to, I wouldn't want to be out there at 3 o'clock in the morning plowing the roads. I mean, I
I'd
think,
rather be out there at that time, nobody's there.
There's no cars.
but even, you know, this isn't because somebody said, oh, we don't like the highway department. It's because we really have to set the town up so that we can't spend all our time in court, in litigation.
I think some of them feel frustrated because they don't, like, I think sometimes Fred feels he doesn't get heard, so this is his chance to be heard.
Absolutely,
You know
and
what
we're
I'm
glad you came,
saying? And it's
we
not-
wanted to hear
it's
from
not-
you.
It's not like it's attacking, I think he just,
Right,
and I
well,
feel the same way, and I've had a discussion with Chrissy anyways.
Well, I'm going to offer you the same challenge I did last time when we talked about overtime. What can we do? I mean, you guys brainstorm. You're out there every day. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk when you're down at the station or when you're doing some work and you're just chit-chatting. What's the way around this? We're looking for suggestions. And you know more than we do because you do it every day.
I don't think they want to get rid of the overtime. If it was me, I wouldn't want to, if I had to work, I want to be paid for the hours I work.
Then go ahead and throw
If
your
you want
idea.
to take a day off and lose your overtime, do it, but I wouldn't do it.
You have
Remember,
something?
some of that, we know where everything is. You get somebody out there that hasn't done it, and we do mark some things, but there's a lot of it that, it's just, and I can jump, because I've been here longer, I can jump on the routes and I can.
Yeah, you know
I can
more.
remember where everything is.
Well,
Freddy's getting
I'm
here,
not trying to
it's
take it away.
But that's...
Believe me, I know, my first year, I rode the plow.
Those ledges didn't move.
They tend
well,
not to,
this is
right?
unfortunately where we are at.
Stand-
We have no choices here. You know, and I think, you know, anybody in town would say they'd rather have the overtime in their jobs. I understand what you're saying there. Right, I understand what you're saying there, but that's not an option we have at this point. So we have to try to figure out things so that everybody's happy, and we're protecting the town. That's our number
So
one.
basically-
All they're saying is, they don't want you to use your vacation time during the same time overtime could occur. This one
That's what we
scenario
have to
has
change.
happened.
What if it was
Yes.
already pre-scheduled?
Well,
A pre-scheduled vacation?
Yeah, that's
and
a-
then
that's a good
overtime
question.
occurred? I mean, I understand.
That's a
I got
little
overtime,
different.
Now I'm going to take a vacation.
That would be one of those,
No,
that's-
it's pre-scheduled
That's,
already.
that would be one of the times that you would, at times you would come to the select board and say,
exceptions,
hey,
right.
this is what happened to me. That's what Mike was talking about.
Well,
That's
and
different.
I'd also hope that in the end of the year, is that, you know, because I can only carry over 40 hours. And there's somebody that I work with that just found out he wasn't paying attention, and he's got 77 hours more than the 40 hours that he has to take before the end of the year. Now, if something came up and he had to continue working, he'd end up losing it. So it's really, at the end of the year, it's not really a good thing to have more than the amount that you can carry over. Because as soon as you get into the snow time, that, you know, David wouldn't want to have, you know, 2 guys scheduled to go on a cruise, you know, like family members to go on a cruise. They turn around and then you're in December, and then, you know, then the big snowstorm and you're out down in the, you know, in the Caribbean that,
well, this summer was the greatest summer either, to take time off.
yeah, no kidding.
But you know,
that's the
also
rock
too, a
we're
lot of
stuck
people who
behind.
have jobs that are busier in one season than the other try to take their vacation time in the season that's not as busy, and that would be helpful to the town if you could do that. You know, winter's busier time, you know that you could end up having to plow, depending on the winter, a lot or a little, so, you know, take your vacation time. I mean, some places it's mandatory. If, you know, you work a job that the summertime is much busier than the winter, they don't let you go away in the summer. So, you know, you could try to schedule your vacation time like that, too.
I think
And everybody-
they pretty much do anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Unless
not a
it's an
usual
event they're going
practice.
to that's
Yeah.
set.
And as I told Sally, I wasn't even thinking when we did this one because of October.
Of course.
Yeah, well,
I
who
mean,
expected a
of course.
snowstorm in October?
And it wasn't what they said was gonna come either.
Right.
No, we were scurrying around putting plows on. that
2 to
afternoon.
5 didn't bother me, but then it jumped.
I think everybody understands that because everyone get caught unaware.
Yep.
So are we sort of on the same page? Okay.
Yep.
And Stanley, did you have something? Oh, I thought you did.
You
I
sure?
think we should,
I'll just pay attention to the
all of
vacation
us,
time,
and
that's
then
all.
brainstorm on our own, and then basically come back at another time to talk about it some more.
Did you guys hear that?
What's
What's that?
Mike's suggestion was, you guys brainstorm, we'll brainstorm, and then we'll meet together before we start working on these personnel policies to see if we can.
You guys have St. Michael's, right? That you can talk with St. Michael's and basically say is, hey, how do other towns handle this? And basically come up with some ideas. And it's, that your budget, basically, and how you're going to manage that budget. And what we're talking about here is a tool for you to manage your budget so that it comes in, within reason, of course, to how you're going to manage the budget. And we just talk about it, and, you'd say, well, this is how we propose we're going to manage our budget. As long as you have, that you guys have come to a decision on how you can manage that budget and manage your time and do your job safely, and you say that to us, I think we're going to be, basically, if it's reasonable, we're going to say, yeah, sounds good. So we'll take a look and talk about it amongst ourselves, and you guys talk about it with your resources, and then come up with an idea as far as how you recommend to control, to manage the budget. Because your budget going forward, that you would be finalizing to us would be based on that philosophy. So you must have a philosophy now. You would just go through and double check that off of the St. Michael's and your peers, and then fine-tune your philosophy to make sure, somebody thinks it's funny, but to fine-tune that philosophy so that you then your budget would be coming.
We're gonna have to go back and listen to
Come
that
on.
again.
He lost me a long time ago.
Oh, I know, it's like,
We
so
already
sad
did
to
with
Patty,
over-
what?
You talk
pretty much
to
plan
your
on-
friends and you see what they say and come up with a recommendation. Before you go to
That was
Supreme.
much simpler, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I have to
It's
go into my
amazing how long he
soprano
can
mode.
go on in a
Confuse
simple
people when
sentence.
I
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah, no
plan not to
kidding.
take any vacation time during November to April anyway.
You take all of December, right?
No. But it happened, the summer kind of just
With the hurricane.
rambled
and-
along,
Mhm.
and,
Stuff to do.
right.
Apparently, I didn't have enough projects at home for him to take on.
So it's all your
So
fault.
it's my- Sorry. I'll try to plan better next year.
I have a list.
I was going to say, if you don't have enough.
Yeah, I
can
got a list. We just lost our shower. I mean, you could come help put our new one in.
Well, yeah.
Based on,
Yeah.
so you're just gonna continue doing that?
We need to get this straightened out through.
So I just have a clarification since we did mention holiday. On Friday, I got a call from an employee of the police department who said that he and another employee would be working Christmas and wondered if the board would consider double time.
What's the contract say?
The contract says holidays paid, just hours you work. We pay time and a half. And that's what I said, we pay time and a half, and then you would get that amount of time that you work off. But I said I would bring it to your attention
That's,
because
yeah.
I was asked, and I don't think my...
Because that's their, kind of like their,
Yeah.
The contract.
Their
Said
contract.
that we're going to
Contract's
work
contract.
overtime. Said we're going to work overtime on Christmas.
Why?
So should we get...
Yeah, exactly.
Why do we need 2 officers on?
Well, I'm guessing it's for
Two shifts.
two
Two
shifts.
two shifts.
So why would they be working overtime for 2 shifts?
Exactly.
That doesn't make
We
any
only
sense.
have 1.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm
Yeah,
guessing that it's
absolutely.
2 shifts, not 2 at the same time.
So I just said, I'll ask the board, but...
You
know, you're-
can ask the
your
board,
contract-
excuse me, you can tell them that you asked the board, and didn't we have a long discussion about the steward
Yes.
not jumping on the treasurer's back to
Yes,
get little questions
we did.
like this answered?
Can I make a comment there?
One moment, please. But basically, the answer would be, we're
Follow the
paying
contract.
through what the contract says, and if there's a problem, then the steward can contact us. Yes, ma'am.
Talking about the police department and the highway department, those are your two rivals as far as having to work holidays and overtime, correct?
Whether-
And if the
Peers.
police department, if you're gonna allow them to do something, then the highway department's gonna say, hey, wait a minute.
Exactly.
So you need to take that into consideration when you're dealing with that department versus the highway department.
Well, they're under a police
They
contract
have a
now,
contract for the union anyway.
so
Yeah,
we
they
have to
sign
follow that,
either
and
way.
they have to follow that.
But yes, we're going to abide by the
Absolutely.
contract, which is very contingent upon the personnel policies, similar to what you guys are under as well.
So you kind of have to follow their contract.
But their contract was also based on, and mostly on what was already in
Right.
place at the time, which makes it simple. Same holidays, you know. A lot of the wording, when you look at the union contract, it even
Are we
refers
allowed to
to.
have a copy of their contract to look at?
No. Well, it is a public document.
I'm pretty sure it's a public document.
I think anything that's in the town is a public document.
I would say too.
I think
I agree
everything in the
with you.
town, there is no such thing as anything private in town government, so I don't see why not.
Except executive session, but that wasn't done in
But
executive
that
session.
wasn't.
But actually, executive session's really not,
Well,
I
yeah,
agree with that one too.
yes,
Payroll.
there's
There should be no
salary,
executive
right,
session.
that kind of stuff, yes, but I'm talking, I mean, that's a contract that was signed in
well,
open.
there are
had to be
sometimes
signed in
where we
open
kind of
meeting.
have to.
Yes.
What do I want to say, recommend?
Right?
Yeah.
I had too
I'm
way too
sorry.
many
Because
conversations.
I mean, the contract had to be signed in open meeting, right?
Yes, it
I mean,
was.
Negotiated
It was.
maybe
Oh,
in
yeah.
executive session, but the contract was signed in
For
open
the
meeting.
most part, it was negotiated in a public meeting.
Open session.
Then it would be public document.
Who would have a copy? Would it be on record at the town clerk's office as well as the
Yeah.
Police department
Yep.
has
Well,
it, the
you have a
town clerk
copy.
should have
I
it.
have a copy of it too.
Sally?
I don't anymore. I don't have the final one. Never did get
You
it.
have a copy, Sal?
Yeah, I have to follow it.
So if you could,
I never did get a
Katrina?
copy either, because this was all done before I
Yeah,
got on the board,
I
so I
never
never
got
got a
a-
copy.
You ever, would the select board like a copy of?
yes,
the
please.
We could also post it on the website. It's a public document.
I would check and make sure first. But I don't think it has to be.
Yeehaw.
I would think it has to be.
All right, can we move on to budgets?
I just have a couple things I've got to bring up. Sorry, but one is, I emailed Mike about the occupational therapy site visit. We were planning to go, and another board member was going to join us, and Mike threw out the date of December 16th, which is a Friday. And Mike felt that we should discuss that tonight.
Did you get my email about the 15th?
Don't think so. What about the 15th?
You should have.
Oh, 15th. Yes, I'm going.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm taking a half day today. That day.
Do we both go, or just you, or?
I can just go. There's no reason for both of us to go to that.
All right, the 16th is a Friday then, I presume?
It is a Friday. I don't know if it's still okay with Mike. It was just a date that he was available at this time.
And I'm off that day.
Where is it?
Well, we
Keene?
have to go to Greenfield, Keene, and Dr. Bresnahan.
I think the Keene office is on Marlborough Street. I'm pretty sure it is.
Say it
because I
again,
was-
Keene?
Keene, the physical therapy
Yes, it is.
on Marlborough
So-
Street. I was right across from it on Friday.
So we're talking at least a half a day.
Oh, almost a full day.
I can't.
Go to Keene and have a conversation, and I can, it's my Friday, it's a Friday off, so I don't know who else can go.
I can't, I have a retreat board meeting that day.
I'm thinking I have something, but
You want me to go?
Why don't we
how about
leave it-
Bobby? Can you go? Because I think I have something.
I think, maybe.
Well, why don't we go
That'll make it
on
better for you.
you want to set it up for the 16th, and we'll put out the times for everybody, and then,
Well, do you think maybe everybody should check their calendars first before she sets it up for the 16th? Because if nobody else can make it, she may want to set it up for a different day.
Yeah, I'm starting to get limited as to when I can go. So, and it could be somebody else besides me.
I could definitely go on the 16th.
Would someone be willing, who's gonna drive? Because you don't want me driving.
I'll drive.
I've seen you drive, I believe it.
You've seen my car, you know
I see
that I
your
should
car. I can drive.
I have a few others. Turkeys and hams, 23 hams, 7 turkeys.
That
I
was the other
had an
day.
additional one for our newest employee who was not on my list yet and who I didn't know whether it would be working every week or not.
But yeah, in the article, the motion, I reread it, was whoever gets a weekly check, so we're,
Okay, I thought there was a number.
no.
No.
No, no.
Wasn't
we
a
said
paper,
weekly
I
check.
guess,
So
and
we
then
just said weekly check.
the
you wanted to
newspaper.
do
Yeah,
that.
you can do that.
On Monday, 2 weeks from today.
I can't do the 19th.
Yeah,
I can do the
You,
20th.
Bobby, on the 19th.
It's a Monday.
It would be, go in, and everything would be ready, we just go in, I basically sign, hand him the check, and
And you bring it all back.
then we just bring it back, and both of our cars should be able to handle that, unless we take my car with the trailer. It's a lot of meat.
Could fit it all in the back of mine.
It's a lot of, that's a lot.
Not in the way back, though, right?
30,
Okay, so the 19th it
Enough
is,
time, it ought to hold.
and you're good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Is there anything that you wanted to discuss? I did send information about the 4-day work week.
I'd like to discuss that while she's here.
All right, there was one thing that you sent me an email, since we're talking about overtime. You sent me an email for the last meeting that it wasn't discussed, and that was in terms of elected officials receiving overtime during elections.
Yeah. Whether we're going to budget for that, because we haven't, and there will be 3, I believe, elections this year, so if that's something that's going to occur, I need to know.
We were told by the Secretary of State that that doesn't happen. That's a statutory thing, and it shouldn't be paid. They can take time off the next day, or 2 days, or whatever.
I've been told that by the auditors. I know you talked to the Secretary of State. Do we have that in any kind of writing that?
Other than, I thought we did. It wouldn't matter anyway if we did, because I've lost all my
can you get us again?
saved thing. Yeah, I'll call him back again. My email, because my
lost all your
computer
email.
crashed, everything, I lost everything.
If the Secretary of State says no, then
Yeah, it was Catherine DeWolf. He's the one.
How about the VLCT? We asked them how other town clerks handle it.
They don't get paid. Apparently, only one in the whole state gets paid, and it's ours.
Have we asked the VLCT that?
No, it was Secretary of State's office.
Yeah, but I don't know that they would necessarily know. I think maybe we probably would be better asking the VLCT. Don't you?
do you want to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, do you want me to put off calling the Secretary of State till we hear from
Call
VLC?
Call both.
Call both, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll have an answer for you once we receive answers from both of those entities.
Okay, and then the spreadsheets that I sent, I also, we did a spreadsheet on electricity a year after we started working at 4-day work week, and we did realize savings. And we did, that was not what I read in the paper, but, so
I
that's
thought you
why-
said it really didn't, I remember you saying it didn't make a big difference.
Well, it seems to have in overtime, it seems to have electrically, not as much in fuel, in the oil. But last year, we saved 7,040 kilowatts for a total of $1,732.92. And the year before that, we saved 5,667 kilowatts. We don't In fuel, we saved 372.15 gallons and only 10.86 gallons last year. So the fuel was sort of iffy. But we did in electricity, we saved actually a decent amount.
Is that just on this building salary?
That's only here.
Can I ask you, Sally, because I had somebody talk to me about this in town, and they said that the only problem with going back to a 5-day work week is the town office closes earlier, and a lot of townspeople get used to the town office being open later in the day and enjoyed being able to stop in on their way home from work. Did you see an increase in, my whole thing is I want to make sure that when people can get to the town office, you know, that they can utilize the services they need to here without having to take a day off of work. And with the town office only open, what, was it 7 to 4 or something like that?
No, it used to be, Sandy was 8 to 4 and we were 8:30 to 4:30.
So it's real, most people are at work
Yeah.
8 to 4 or 8:30 to 4:30, so they couldn't get to the town office. And people got used to being able to come in on their way home from work because the town office was still
The
open.
problem is, though, the town clerk closes at 5, which really doesn't help anybody, because most people work until 5 anyway. You're open until 5:30 or 6, and I can always come in here and see you, but if I need to get something at the town clerk's office, they're already closed. So it really, I haven't found any benefit to that whatsoever. And
Yeah,
I
but they're
can't
open
come
at
in the
7.
morning.
Yeah.
Now, I know she says it's wonderful for the attorneys and that sort, but those attorneys aren't residents either.
No, this was actually somebody in town that said it to me, not anybody at the town
No,
office.
I know Sandy has said, well, it's great, all the attorneys love it because they can come in here whenever in the morning. But, I don't see how that is beneficial to us. And I don't see how closing at 5 is beneficial because most people work until 5 anyway. I get out at 4:30 and I still can't make it.
Well, I thought our thoughts were for maintenance because they have the kids here, and that's why we, because the
Well, I
kids were
talked
here
more
anyway.
about staggering hours because I want to make sure that it's
Right.
open for, that was the conversation. We all had a little something we had to say.
Yeah.
But my big thing is the staggering of the hours and having the town office open when people need to access it. And, most people don't try to access the town office from 8 to 4.
No, exactly.
They're at work,
Right.
So, I'd like to try to figure things out, and,
Yeah.
we had this conversation last week, unfortunately, nobody was here.
Yep.
But I'd like to put our heads together and see if we can figure out something that makes us, as a town, accessible to the residents in town.
Yeah, because I don't want.
Mr. Sage?
Gotta be.
What hours is Guilford or Brattleboro, what do they have around?
A lot of towns our size aren't even open 5 days.
Right.
Aren't even open 40 hours. There are still a lot of towns in Vermont that are only open like half a day on Tuesday and Thursday, and maybe a full day on, one night a week, and a full, so it varies. Every town is different, but I don't think Guilford's open 40 hours, are they?
I don't know.
But those towns only have one town clerk, too, where we have a town clerk and 3 assistant town
Right.
clerks.
It's like trying to get in the post office, right?
Yeah.
For a working person.
Not for an hour and a half in one
Yeah.
middle of the day.
Yeah.
No, not Saturdays either.
Well, I want to let the board know that I did email Mike and Patty about my feelings. And when this first started, when the 4-day work week came about, we were kind of forced to do it. I was not happy about it. I didn't feel it would work for me because I have this young child at home and I don't have that much time with him, certainly on a Monday night or during the week. But what I found was I can work my 40 hours in 4 days and I can still come in on Friday. And I am bombarded at the office. We're bombarded with phone calls, we're bombarded with people coming in. To have a Friday that I can add to what I've already done in 40 hours allows me to complete my work and allows me to do it quietly. I do have a message on my phone, voicemail, that if someone needs me on a Friday, leave me a message or arrange to see me on a Friday because I'm generally in. but I can get so much done without interruption on a Friday that it would be hard for me. It would be very hard for me to get that out.
The motion was that, and the law is you control your office.
I know, but we were strongly urged to do that, and I just want to say I'm definitely not being stubborn about it. I really feel that I can't get my job done in 5 8-hour days, and I really don't want to be working on my weekends, and that's what I will have to do. I bring home work at night, and I'm here Fridays when needed and fairly often. And what I generally do is I might not answer the phone. I listen to the messages, and then I call people back, just so that I can get my things done. But if you email me, you'll generally find I'm here, or give me a call that I am here. So.
Or drive by, we see your car.
Yeah.
You're definitely getting your money out of her.
You know what, I don't
That's
think
never
that
been a
was
question.
That was
Ever,
never a question.
ever.
But I just
Ever.
want to explain, it's, in my view, I can do so much more. And I am here on Mondays through the meeting, so, and anybody can come in then too to visit the office prior to 6:30. So I do stay through, I don't go home, so.
Thank you for your dedication.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to, you to know how my office would be and the reason why. So I think that's it.
David has something.
Stanley had.
All I can say is don't go in with FEMA paperwork on Friday.
Yeah.
Don't go in with FEMA paperwork on a Friday.
Let's not talk about FEMA anymore.
No.
I just think, maybe this is something that we need to look at again and readdress. I want the town office open where people can get at it.
Yeah,
And
me too.
8 to 4, it's not going to cut it. Especially
Needs to
now.
be
Now
convenient.
it's worse because now people have gotten used to being able to,
Right.
and I know you say you work till, but, anyone who works in a hospital, gets out of work at, get 3:15, they can make it into the town office.
But the motion was
Right.
for the maintenance and town crew, police are already working shifts, and the maintenance person and the road crew only work 5 days a week. And the strongly urging was to have one night that there would be extended hours, however the individual office wanted to do that, is one person would come in later that day, and have to say Thursday night would have later hours, just to have it open one night a week that it was later hours.
But I don't think that message has gotten to the town office, because obviously, Sally's worried about the time that she used to have on Fridays when it was quiet and she could get work done, so.
We're not changing
But,
that.
yeah, I'm not
Yeah, it
changing
says a
that.
strong
Yeah.
recommendation to the elected officials to
Yeah.
follow suit with staggered hours.
So that means you could still have your Friday. You could have, Cindy could have Monday.
She can't take Monday off. It's payroll. There's no way. Monday is the craziest day in our office.
But she's open until 5:30.
But I can't. See, I have to have 5 days. That's my point. I
You
have
need-
to have
you need
one that's
two
quiet
people.
without.
I understand that
anyone.
because I sometimes go back to the office at night just because the
Right?
phones aren't ringing,
Yes.
nobody's knocking on my door.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's like my most valuable time of the week.
But also you need dual control, don't you?
What do you mean?
When you have the cash in there, you need dual control.
No, she's got a big gun.
Okay.
When the
I'm
town
kidding.
clerk's office used to be open late one night a week, and the reason they stopped doing that is because nobody ever came. Nobody.
But I
They
think
would just sit there for nothing.
I think the discussion was, though, that there would be multiple things going on. There would be some sort of community activity groups downstairs, the library would be hosting a play group or something. Multiple things to bring people in one night a week and allow them to.
Myself, I don't care if they're open 4 days, 5 days, it doesn't matter. I really don't like it when they keep changing when they're open. Because you get used to, everybody gets used to when they're open and when they're not. And they make adjustments so that they can get there, as long as it's within reason and convenient. That's what we should be asking them, is to just see what they could do about making it as convenient as they can. Other than that, I really don't see why it matters what day you're open.
Well, with the town clerk and the treasurer, we didn't care. Just, we didn't. It was-
We can't.
Right, can't.
And it was strongly suggested, so if they don't follow suit,
Yeah.
it's the perception in the community, and that's not fair to put them in that position, you know? So, you know, we as a select board, I think, have to make a decision on how we want things to go, and, you know, I mean, I know they're elected officials and we can't tell them what to do, but we need to make sure that our message is clear, so it doesn't look like to the community, we ask them to be here on Friday and they just don't want to, so everybody in the community is going to be mad at them too, you know? I think that, that's why I think we need to put our heads together and come up with a solution that's best for everybody, because Bobby's right, it's confusing to people who work here, and it's confusing to people in the town when we change the hours all the time.
And as far as the highway department goes, I've been thinking about them also. And unless it snows on a Friday, and they're
Okay.
working 4 days a week, it wouldn't make any difference as far as their overtime. So maybe when we're discussing with them about the overtime and vacations and all that stuff, we can talk about what could be done if they were working 4 days a week, so that they didn't get the extra on a Friday, but the weekend would still be the same even if they work Monday through Friday.
Yeah, we don't need to be
And they would be a
insulting to people who
savings
don't
of
know if they work Friday or
electricity
not.
and fuel oil at the town highway garage if they're not there on a Friday.
Well, that's simple.
Plus, if we make them happy, they'll work a little better.
The only, we were saving on overtime and stuff when we were on 4 days.
Oh, rescind the
We
motion.
didn't do
Go back
anything
the way it
until
was then.
10.
Can't rescind it.
Overtime started after 10.
Well, then do that. That's what you want. Everybody was
This- this
unanimous.
might-
Now they're
it'll go
not
back to 8
unanimous.
hours For the hot, well,
You're gonna start paying 2 hours of overtime more now.
at 8 o'clock, after 8 hours.
So your numbers show that the overtime was higher on 8 hours than it is on 10 hours? Really?
Is that your spreadsheet that's in here? Yeah, you have this in your packets, there's a spreadsheet.
We didn't work only a half day on a Friday last year.
It was very accommodating to not have any snowstorms on Friday, wasn't it?
Right after the bills and warrants.
The year before was every weekend.
Yeah.
I know. I had to drive back and forth from my place.
That was the other nice thing, we at least had one day if it did storm on the weekend.
I don't know why, what changed from the last meeting when we were all unanimous about this, and now all of a sudden we're not.
Because
I
what
mean,
happened was that, right, you jumped the gun and just went with the forethought.
no, we
In all fairness, it was on the agenda a lot of weeks.
Yes, I'm gonna say, no, we didn't jump the gun because it's been there off and on for the last couple of years.
That was tabled, but still, I mean, you know, you guys did see it on the agenda, and you could have brought information in. Now, I do say, now we have more information, I feel, than
Yep.
we had last week to make a decision on, but certainly it was on the agenda enough times.
Until we talk about the philosophy of how we're basically going to control overtime, I would not make any more changes.
I agree.
We
I
have to
agree as well, that we shouldn't be making any more changes until we get the policy done.
But we already did. Made a change last week.
Right.
Anymore.
Anymore. Because we're just making it more confusing.
I
The thing
agree
about
to
it
a
is-
certain
I just
extent,
put
but
that
if we're
out so that you
thinking,
could think about it.
but if we're thinking that when we do the personnel policy, we may make a change to go back to 4 days, we should do it now. Just leave things alone for now and then make the decision on the 5 days as we do the personnel policy.
The other thing,
Because
too-
now people are used to the 4 days. We go to 5 and then change our mind and go back to 4, that's real confusing.
No matter what, I'm not changing my mind on Mike. Mike is going to be on 5 days, and the reason is that the library is open on 5 days, we have other people using the building on a 5-day basis, and the police department is here every day, especially the administrative staff in the police department. We have to have maintenance support in this building 5 days a week, absolutely, no question about it.
Well, couldn't Mike be on 4 days and his assistant be on Friday?
Now that I have an assistant, yes, that is a possibility, it's been talked about in the past. That was never a problem.
We said as
Issue
a-
when I had help.
Maintenance support was going to cover the building. If you decide you want to run it that way and you're going to cover it that way, then fine.
It has worked in the past, it's just a lapse of time when actually, you know, while people were ill, goes back quite a ways actually, and, you know, the help I had, no one's fault, but we always followed up with someone would clean the building on Friday, Thursday night, Friday night possibly, whatever the hours worked out for that individual. It was always covered, there was never a problem with that.
'Cause
And
it was-
also, like, as far as snow call on Friday goes, I've only been in once, to the best of my knowledge, and that was for 2 hours on a Friday. That's all I've ever used.
That was when they plowed.
You were telling me about the sidewalk and how it ices up.
Yes.
It's things like that, if you don't have the staff here, and then somebody comes walking up and they step on that, and they fall down the steps, we're in a world of hurt.
Well, I'm aware of that. Then there's also, the most recent thing I read in the minutes too, also was only come in on an emergency basis as far as overtime goes. Well, I've been making that call. And is it an emergency? It is when it comes to liability. I'm on the same page with you, Mike, but if you start talking overtime, discouraging, I don't know where's the legal. I mean, I've been asked why I'm coming in and shoveling snow, but, you know, I have to be here. And that's a 24/7. And when I come in, I hear us possibly talk about, well, why is he here? Is it necessary? Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't.
I don't think you were mentioned.
It has been.
Not by us.
Well, if there was an issue with someone shoveling the police department, it was mentioned why I wasn't here. I was on the site building shoveling. So,
I haven't first.
anyway.
What's the board's pleasure? Because I'm in favor of leaving it as we did last week. We do have information here. It does look as if the numbers are down since they went to a 5-day or a 4-day work week, but I find that information to be misleading. You had an additional highwayman here, Pete, who was getting a lot of overtime. It looks like David's numbers are doubled during those 3 previous years. I don't know why. It's the board's pleasure. I'll do whatever they want.
We've
What
only
year
had
is
3
that?
workers.
Yeah, Pete, my dad took...
Stanley wasn't there when Pete was there.
Right.
But David was working double what everybody else was working.
What's that? Run that by me again.
All right, when Pete was here,
Yeah,
it was you and Pete and David, excuse me.
yeah.
And you guys were getting 3,200, 3,600. David was in the 6,000 range.
Talking about just the pure overtime.
Just
Hours.
pure overtime.
Hours.
Yeah. I've got all the support too from my payroll.
I can't make a decision.
It should
On
be
the
all...
overtime.
No, you've dropped
Unless
from,
they're not in because they're gone.
but you've dropped, no, because you were at 224, everybody else was at 140 or 170. Then the previous
That was
year,
back in 0506, David.
That's my first thing.
the rest of the time, they're all even.
Yeah, the rest of the time, no, it's pretty much the same.
We didn't hit our 4 days until 08.
Oh, wait.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It was more, but why are you working 224 hours and everybody else is only working 146?
Well, Fred worked 174.5.
But now they're all even. I'm too confused. See, now Fred's at 130, Stanley's at 119, David's at 111. But prior to that, there was a bigger discrepancy.
What's that? There's commotion in the
What?
audience.
I don't know if David's gonna remember.
We had that washout. Fred wasn't here.
Right, because he worked for his dad.
Yeah, because I hired these guys with their trucks to come in.
Well, Fred's here.
That might be right when I
When
first
he
started.
started.
That fall.
Yeah, he started that fall.
Well, you still got as much overtime as Pete.
Was that when Pete was sick, though, and wasn't?
No.
for
No,
part
because
of the
Pete's
year?
got all that overtime. That's what I'm saying. Numbers
Yeah, it
are,
started
they're
November.
confusing. So
November
I don't
1st.
necessarily know how to read this.
Of '05.
Well,
I
to
just
me,
printed
what I
out
see is that it
overtime.
was more overtime when they worked 5 days a week, and less overtime when they worked 4. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, but look at the components that make up those totals. But again, it doesn't
I do
matter.
know what you're saying.
You guys want to vote this back, be my guest. and
I
make
just,
it-
my whole thing is if we're gonna still continue to discuss this, I just hate to see us go to 5 days and then change it back to 4. I think we're better off staying at 4 days, having the discussion, looking at the numbers, making an educated decision, and then when we make it, we stay at it instead of, now we're at 4 days, next week we'll be at 5 days, 3 weeks from now we'll be back at 4 days. It just, I think that confuses people more than, let's
But
get all
we're
of
doing
our...
the same thing. We were at 5 last time, now we're going to go to 4 this time.
But
and
we
then if
haven't
change it
changed from
again-
4 yet.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, they
One
work
week,
5
they
days a
work
week.
1 week, 5 days.
Yeah, but people aren't going to notice one Friday being at work.
But the thing about it is
Just
that
the people that had
for
to work
them
have noticed.
and Mike, they're invisible to the majority of people in the town. They don't see them. They see them on the street when they see the truck and they see him working, but they don't come in to the road department and ask for them to do stuff for them. Treasurer's office and the town clerk. The majority of the time, that's when people come in. How many people come in and want to talk to the listers or the auditors? How many times do you guys go in to talk to the listers and the auditors?
Every time I'm
And
in
he
here.
has
Highway department.
Every time I come in, I do.
They do.
Right, but those are the people, the town clerk, the listers, town treasurer, those are the people, I don't believe have changed hours yet. We're not confusing anybody. It happens to be those guys are the invisible workers that get the job done. Those aren't the people that people come in to see. So I don't believe anybody's being confused, with the exception of maybe us.
It wasn't.
We started our day that way.
I'm confused, are they working 4 or 5?
5.
How long is it gonna
We haven't
take to
changed
get
the
this
motion yet.
policy in effect?
Or made a new
How long?
motion.
Is it gonna be a year from now?
I have no idea.
What did you ask, Lynn? I didn't hear
How
you.
long is it gonna take to get this personnel policy, written and?
It's written.
It's written.
Draft is in
It's
this.
in a draft. We have it.
So how long is that gonna
And run by the lawyer, right?
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's got to
gotta-
be vetted by 2 people.
It's going to be a while, yeah. It's going to be a while.
Yeah, there's still a long process left.
I don't know, I know that we went the 5 days because of, or for Mike, and for the highway because of the overtime, but that's been proven different. And Mike, because we wanted maintenance here on Friday, because there was so many, the building was being operated, but if he can have his person work, and he can still work. You know, I mean,
I can always come in. That's not a matter of...
You would come in anyway.
Yes,
because
I
no
mean,
one-
yeah.
It's always been covered.
Absolutely.
yeah, we have no question on that. I'm not questioning that. I don't know. What you smiling about? Something's up your craw. What is it?
Well,
Tell
I
me.
was just thinking I should bring in a laptop so that I can watch TV while we're discussing this. We might as well be honest. No, I was just thinking that we really, we're confusing ourselves here.
Yeah.
What you need to do is have a meeting with all the employees before being broadcasted.
Well, it's kind of hard to do, but yes, you're right.
And this
We
is
need
the
to
democratic way.
either
Yeah,
move
absolutely.
forward or what are we going to do?
So
I'm for going back to 4 days, but
I'll
you
go
know,
with
that's
that.
everybody else's vote too, so.
I don't know. We just one way, then the other way, then the other way.
I just think that in the winter, you have less to do than you do in the summer. Would almost make more sense to work 5 days a week in the summer than in the winter, so
I
why,
disagree with that.
why change it?
No, I say winter and then summer's different.
When do you do the most work?
But apparently it's not.
Sometimes we have the contractors and the flag and they work on
Yes.
Some towns, that was one of the things that was on that report I did a while back. Some towns do work 4 days during the summer and 5 during the winter season. Because they find in the summer, if they work the 10-hour days, they get more of their projects completed. They're not closing down their projects
Right.
and starting them back up again after 8 hours. They get that extra time. That was, in some of the towns, that's what they're doing. That's what they're utilizing. Not in all of them, but.
I kind of think that if they're done with all their work and it comes Friday and they're just doing making work in the shop, that we're using resources that we don't need to.
I think we're gonna get winter soon enough, and
Yeah.
they're gonna be
I hope
busy.
you're wrong.
I wanna ski,
Make the
please.
motion, Patty.
I move that we continue with the 4-day work week until we settle out all the facts.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to continue with the 4-day work week until we sort all the facts. Is there any discussion other than what we've had? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Can I make a discussion? Sorry. I just want you to know, I have been the biggest advocate for the 5-day. Trust me. I have been.
I just want the town office open when people can get here.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. Can we move on now?
Yes.
Okay, wait a minute. You're in favor of saving the town money,
I am.
and you had the proof in front of you, right?
I have figures in front of me. This doesn't prove anything as far as I'm concerned, because I don't know what to make of. I need to research this. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, how come David is double this? But we've already made the motion. It's time to move forward.
But at the same time, what you're saying is, it would be like the police department, when they didn't have the people, and they had people that were working way ungodly amounts of time. In the fact is that they weren't supposed to be, but there weren't the people to cover it. So depending on when Pete got hurt, and when, Fred, you started in that particular year, is the fact is that Pete might have not been there and doing that much, and you came in and you worked your ass off at the end of the year.
But we're on TV.
I'm sorry, is that,
It is what it is.
I'm just staying with the regular rest of the
But see,
TV.
I don't think that's the point, because Pete was still around for 3 more years after that, still making as much overtime.
You don't know in the workload and what was going on, it's pure figures, and I agreed with what you said before. You don't know the back history on facts and figures. If you take facts and figures just at face value, it can be misleading.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you, you can look back at the time, you're not going to find anything because there's no explanation
Right,
at that time.
exactly.
So there is no research that you.
And again, I'm not saying that this was bad, and I appreciate you doing it. I'm just saying that I still think there's more to this story, and we'll find out soon enough. So can we move on? Seth?
So he's thrilled to be the first one up after all that.
So tired.
Can't have it.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Tired of this.
Hello. I'm just here, hopefully briefly, on behalf of the Recreation Board. We have 2 vacant positions on the board. 2 people did resign, kind of separate times. You know, it wasn't over any one thing. Life's changed and schedules changed, so their time got done. But the Rec Board has 2 people to fill those positions. They have Melissa Ferris to fill the position vacated by Mike Pratt, and Josh Unruh to fill the position vacated by Eric Potter. They've made the recommendation that you folks ratify that recommendation.
Who, Mike Potter?
Eric Potter.
Eric Potter?
Yeah,
Potter?
Josh Unruh, they're recommending that Josh Unruh fill the vacant position from Eric Potter.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and Melissa Ferris would fill the vacant position left by Mike Pratt.
I never even heard of these people.
They're good people.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
I would never question that, but
Unruh?
Unruh, yeah.
where do they live?
Josh lives on Lily Pond Road, and
Oh,
Melissa Ferris,
Southward,
where?
southward.
Southward.
oh, I just met her then.
All
Yeah.
right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes or no?
I move that we appoint Josh Unruh and Melissa Ferris as new members to the rec board.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Melissa Ferris and Josh Unruh as new members of the rec board. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, is there discussion? Sorry.
Are they certain-year terms?
Oh, they're 3-year terms, yeah. Melissa's would, I wrote it down and folded up my paper here.
She's filling in Mike Pratt.
She would fill Mike Pratt's, who was set to expire 2012, and Eric's is 2013. So Josh would be on until 2013.
But don't we have to, in March, we have to ratify all the positions anyway, every March.
So we would just reappoint her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it spelling of the names?
Let's hope I spelled it right then, right?
UNRUH.
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah.
Unless you had something else.
I don't. No, I'm...
You want to stick around for a little while longer?
Yeah, the fun's just beginning. All right, budget discussions.
Looks good, thanks.
Thank you. No, I got it, thanks.
I think one of the first things, and this is a generic issue,
Seth?
Seth, are you staying for the budget part?
I've already presented mine.
His budget
okay.
was final, the only thing that you were thinking was the emergency fund.
Right. Is that something I can stay if you need me to? That was something you do have my
Give it to
emergency.
me,
plan.
Yeah.
I'm all set, I have your,
All right.
Yes, Mike, sorry.
makes it really simple, is that across the board, is that in order to understand how much that all of the pay would go and change, is that not only is the step changes that Sally had made the recommendation for, but also in that the policy that we have says is that in February, no, it's like February, you make either February or March, you look at the Social Security website in order to make the recommendation what the final figure is for the COLA.
It can't be February. We passed town report. Has to be prior to the time.
No, it isn't. It's, as a matter of fact, it's after that. And the reason is that we're not saying this is what people are getting, is that afterwards, you basically are saying this is what I would recommend the final COLA. We don't even have, the end of the year hasn't happened yet. They can't come, they make this is what we think it's gonna be.
No, they've said it for 2012.
Have they?
Yeah, 12, yeah. Yeah,
They finalized it.
I emailed it
Right.
to all of you, yeah.
So then it would
They've
be in
announced it.
3.6. So across the board, what we'd say is that with step changes and the recommended COLA, this is the amount of money that we would set aside for each one of those positions. So it makes it a lot simpler in how these different blocks would be filled in, would be is, number one, we adopt the recommendation that we put aside 3.6% for the COLA, as well as the step changes that we're going to see for those individuals.
why do we have to go 3.6 with Social Security? I mean,
That's a policy that we adopted as a board, is that that's the website that we look at. Sally makes the recommendation what the COLA is, then we take that recommendation and then go from there.
Okay, but like last year, Social Security didn't get an increase, did the employees?
No.
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out the tie there, because, you know, they did get a 3.6% increase, but they also got an increase in Medicare, so I'm trying to figure out where the tie is in.
Well, you should look at the
They did.
policy.
Social
That
Security
was-
people did get an increase in Medicare.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't.
Oh, I
have
thought you were
Medicare.
shaking your head. Well,
No,
you
no.
were shaking your
I
head,
don't
no, I
think
thought
they
you were
did.
saying, yeah, they did.
I didn't.
They did.
Social Security people
But
did.
Social
that's,
Security people did, yeah.
But based on the cost of living not
got a 3.
increasing, none of our people got one.
They didn't get a raise in their pay, the Social Security people.
Right, last year and the year before, there was no COLA, it was 0.
Right.
And it's this year that there is a 3.6, and this year that Medicare will be hit with an increase. There was no increase, I don't believe, in Medicare for the past 2 years either, but with the increase in the COLA, there's an increase in
Which really
Medicare
stinks for
costs.
elderly
It
people,
does.
it just really ticks me off.
So I understand.
I'm just trying to understand where the COLA, because I mean, this was
Well-
never a rule when I was on the select board, so
No,
I'm
no,
trying
no,
to
it was
figure out
the
where this
policy.
is coming from.
what ended up happening is that we spent all that time in order to establish what the grid, and to put together the grid, the grades, the relative position of everybody within the grades. We put all that time, and in order to make sure that we didn't fall behind again, it was to come up with a way to have some avenue to basically make sure is that we award a COLA or provide a COLA when it was appropriate, and not when it was appropriate not to. So the policy was put together, and with a website to provide for direction on how that we would go forward. So there's a whole policy in as far as pay goes now, a new policy, and how pay goes and how we basically control the grid and update the grid. So you need to see that,
But you don't even have all your employees on the grid that they're supposed to be on.
yeah.
No,
No.
I thought we fixed
No.
it.
we didn't do everyone.
See, this is where I'm getting
Yes,
confused, because,
exactly.
you know,
We didn't, that was the issue, Mike. We did not follow the 5-year policy for everyone. And with what I sent you, I am following that again. I mean, I'm going to continue to say this is, according to the policy, what we should do. But there were some individuals that did not follow that policy.
so if we're going to follow the policy on the
thought
percentage
everybody
increase by Social
followed the
Security,
policy.
everybody,
I thought everybody was in there, so I'm not sure.
Other
whether or
than the
not
police
There's
department.
I
an
don't
old
think we can
policy that is a step
We can go
change.
into
we can go into executive
but,
session,
yeah.
but we can't discuss this.
We can't do executive session.
We have to
So
go
that-
into, if we're going to discuss who,
We turn around and discuss things, but we don't discuss them in enough detail in order to fix them when we discuss them. And then we keep revisiting them.
Well, the thing is that if I remember correctly, Sally did say, well, you're not, on this
I
person, you're not right, on this person, you're not right. I
We had the
remember them
grid-
that.
We had corrections that we put in.
We did.
We did a lot of
But
corrections.
there were some, I remember because I was at home having had surgery, and I was talking to you via phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, I have an issue because you're not following your policy.
But not everybody needed a correction because they were where they needed to be.
Some didn't, but you'll remember.
Maybe not. You're
Maybe.
asking a lot of me. Because
You'll
this is
remember
like,
once I tell you
I
when
put a
it's
lot of
in an
time
open
in on
session.
this, and to find out
I
that
know.
We need to get to the bottom of this.
Okay, then.
do you want to do it now?
Yeah.
Mr.
Let's
Chair,
fix it.
I move that we go into executive session on,
I'm not sure we can fix it right now.
Well, we need to know what she's talking about.
Yes.
Do we even have all of the information that we need?
is it personnel or contract? It was personnel.
Personnel.
I want to know what she's talking about.
Matter, the
and then go
disclosure of
from
which at
there.
this time will be detrimental to the town and/or individuals involved.
Second. Sorry.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session on a personnel matter for which a disclosure of at this time would be detrimental to the town and/or the individuals involved. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And I have such a
I think we all have a migraine, and we're gonna wrap this up quick.
Yeah, I don't want to work on anything. Just, if we're going to do it quick, then I'm going to go. I'll wait.
Okay.
COLA, and then the stuff, the recommended step
I'll do
changes.
that.
We just didn't go any higher because of
All these people waited for nothing.
Yeah.
Time we go in, Katrina?
Yes, so
These people are all gonna go bullshit when they say forbidden.
Yeah.
8:05.
We went into executive session at 8:05, came out at 8:48 with no action taken. I humbly apologize to all of you for making you wait out there, but due to the lateness of the hour, we're going to table the rest of the discussions until next Monday.
But we, yeah.
We are going to also schedule a meeting for, oh, excuse me, I was wrong there. We're scheduling a special meeting next Monday to continue the discussions on
On the budgets, is that what you're going to amend?
on the budgets. And then from there, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be the 19th. I do have one final piece of documentation, and that is a liquor license. It's a first-class restaurant license for Crestwood Investments, LLC, which is basically Schoolhouse Pizza, in the name of Chad Mulverhill and Carrie Mulverhill. And they are asking, it looks like, to serve in the pizzeria in the restaurant portion of the Schoolhouse Grocery in Vernon.
Yeah, we had it before. Okay, I mean, not these people, but,
Right.
Oh, this is a food license, it's not a liquor license, excuse me.
She told me liquor.
oh, I think it's liquor.
It is, I'm
It
sorry,
is.
to be served, the business primarily is a food business.
Right, pizza and Italian fare.
So again, I have a first-class liquor and tobacco license application for Crestwood Investments, LLC, or Schoolhouse Pizza, in the name of Chad Mulverhill and Carrie Mulverhill.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. O'Donnell.
I move that we sign the license for Schoolhouse Pizza.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to sign the first-class liquor license and tobacco application for Crestwood Investments, LLC, Schoolhouse Pizza. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there any further comments?
Adjourn.
No, wait, could I, one more thing before I go. I was going to do a December paper. I just want everybody to know that there will be no December paper. However, I have got together with the town clerk, and she's going to put out the newspaper with everybody's advertisements that I did receive, so that they are going to get out this week. Yes. And that's it. No paper. No responses, no paper.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Say aye.
Sally, do you want this?